Hi, everybody. Oops. Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome to our joint broadcast for eBay Stores, Nothing But Stores, and Cindy's Online Selling Tips, which we refer to as COST. And I'm David Rayer, and we're going to present. Gladys is going to be doing this on item specifics, mobile, and Google Shopping. Also in the hangout here with us is Cindy Sorley and Catherine Terrell. Hi, ladies.
Hi, everybody.
We'll get right to Gladys. I'm trying to find a spot for questions. When you guys have questions, you can post them in the. It looks like more comments in the comment section. You guys can post questions there, and then after each section, I will feed those to Gladys. And
David, just because some people are not used to Google Hangouts, let them know where the comments section is on that toolbar.
yeah, it looks like it's on the right-hand side. If you're viewing it in the window, you're seeing it differently, Catherine. If you don't actually have the link to the YouTube up, but it should be on the right side. There's a say something, and you guys can just post in there. I already see some hellos from a bunch of people on the right side there.
Okay, great.
Okay. Gladys, you want to take it over?
Sure. Okay, so get my slides up.
Are you there, Gladys?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to get my slides up.
Okay.
There it goes. Okay, can everybody see this? Hello?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, it's up.
It's up? Okay. So today we're going to talk about SEO. We're going to touch upon, mobile, item specifics, and Google Shopping and how it's all related. So, all right, so mobile friendly. What does it mean to be mobile friendly? That's one of the questions we're always getting in both groups. And then we get, what do we need to do to be more mobile friendly? So basically, the best practices, it's a simple thing to do. Left align your descriptions. Keep it simple. You don't want to be having all these paragraphs. Just stick to the facts of the item. Don't censor your descriptions. It makes it incredibly hard to read, especially on mobile. You want your descriptions to be left aligned. Also, no excessive HTML, which means no templates, no widgets, no nothing other than your description. You want high quality pictures. Do not embed your pictures in the description. And for the size font, I've tested this throughout a bunch of devices, and I found that size 14 renders the best across every single device, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet. Also, no color fonts. Color fonts are very hard to read on a mobile screen, so you only want to use black only. And then you want to make sure that you use item specifics, because on mobile, the first thing you see are the item specifics before you see the description. And in some cases, you don't see the description unless you click through it. So here's two screenshots. The first one to the left is without the template. It's mobile friendly. That's exactly how it renders across every device that I've tried. And over to the right is with a template. As you can see, you can't really see the description. So then your buyer has to scroll to the left, scroll to the right, scroll to the left, scroll up, scroll down, just to be able to see your description, see your pictures. And then, towards the bottom, if you're using templates, you get all this like Activa HTML widgets and stuff that it just clutters up the whole listing on mobile. It makes it impossible for your buyer to navigate, especially like, let's say they wanted to buy 4 or 5 of my postcards. Imagine this poor customer having to go up, down, left, right, just to be able to shop for 4 postcards in my store. He'd give up. he'd say screw it and leave. So why is it important? Well, as you can see, more than 6 million new customers bought from eBay Mobile in the second quarter alone. These are last year stats, people. I'm going to read you a little snippet here. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. It says its app was downloaded 20 million times during the period, adding up to 60 million downloads since the app was first launched in 2008. No surprise. Oops, my bad. No surprise that, you know, it's grown and it's going to keep continuing to grow. Last year, the eBay app generated 20 billion generated 20 billion through the mobile device in 2013. By now, it's probably quadrupled. So I want to make sure I get a piece of that 20 billion. I don't know about the rest of you. And then the second reason is eBay's app surpasses any retailer, including Amazon, and Amazon's a giant. And for eBay to be able to beat Amazon, that speaks volumes right there on its own. Okay, so here's the view when they go to see your item on mobile. This is the first thing they see. They see your picture, your price, your shipping, and then what do they see? Your item specifics. And if you scroll down, you see more item specifics. And way down at the bottom, that's when you see your item description. Sometimes they give you a little snippet. Sometimes it's a link that you have to click on to be able to view it. So for the most part, this is what buyers are seeing when they're shopping on the mobile. They see your item specifics. So if you're not using your item specifics, you're missing the ball here. They're important for mobile, but that's not the only reason that they're important. And then if anybody has any questions now, David.
So far, no questions have come in. That means that everybody's getting it, which is awesome.
Good, good. So then we'll just continue on then.
Oh, wait, we do have one. We do have one.
Go ahead.
When I look at eBay descriptions on mobile, the font is tiny and it is stuck up in the top left corner. Is that something that can be fixed, or is it a problem with my phone?
Are you using size 14 font? That would be my question. Because if you're using something smaller, that's what's going to happen. Also, if you're using some kind of widget under your thing, it kind of messes up your description. It makes it render funny on some cell phones. So if you're using any widgets under your description, you need to get rid of those.
Right. We're talking about like templates or
scrolling galleries.
Or scrolling galleries or pictures in your description area. It's causing it to shrink to one side and go up to the top left. And
exactly.
That's why it's so important not to use anything but text.
Yeah, like I'll go back to my screenshot. This right here, I have no widgets, no nothing in my description. The only thing in my description is my description, and this is how it renders across every single device that I've tested. And I've tested them all: iPhones, Samsung Galaxy, every single model that I could get my hands on, and that's how it renders every single time. But if you have templates, it could render the way it's on the right side here, or it could minimize it where you see the whole thing, but it's so tiny that you can't see it, and then the buyer has to expand it and then shrink it and then scroll forever just to try and read it. That's why we say no templates.
And let's see, we have what Susan asked: can we bulk update descriptions, fonts, or can we set the font at 14 as a default?
I'm not sure if you can bulk edit that. I don't remember seeing a... Cindy, do you know?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so what they've done with the mobile app is they've got it to where you can go in and you cannot bulk edit on the mobile app, but you can go into eBay and bulk edit. But the thing is on the individual item, so say for example you had your iPhone and you want to go into an individual item, they now have where you can bold but you can't. It doesn't specifically say 14 count, but it is 14 count for their fonts. But you can do bold and everything now. And it doesn't say 14 count. It just says make it bigger. You know, there's like an arrow. I mean, there's like a thing to make it bigger.
Okay, but in eBay itself, can you bulk edit the font? I don't think so.
No.
You can't bulk edit a font. You could, if you did a bulk edit, it would change the description on every listing, so you would have to do it individually. However, you can go to bulk edit, and in the bulk edit feature, you can set it to, while you're doing it in bulk, do each one individually, and then on the right side, you'll be able to change the description or change the font, and then click Save and Next, and it'll bring up the next listing, and it'll go. You can go through one by one and do it without actually opening each listing and putting it into revise.
Right. That you can do. And the good thing about that is, when you're editing all this HTML off and doing the fonts bigger, it refreshes your page. So don't be surprised if while you're editing you start noticing sales pick up, because anytime you make a change to the description, it indexes it, and so you start making sales.
And I might want to add that you don't have to, if you got 1,000 listings, you don't have to go through tomorrow and change 1,000.
Yeah, just little by little. Every day, do 5 a day.
Do 5 a day, little by little, or as they end, when you go to relist them, edit them, and change them. But don't kill yourself to do every listing that you have all at once. Just make a little project of it. And I used to have templates in all of my listings, and over the course of a month or two, I finally eliminated all of the templates and got everything.
I'm still editing. I think I got like 50 left.
Yeah. I mean, they're there already, and you're already selling some of that stuff anyway.
Right.
But look to the future. Look to the future, and try and optimize for mobile.
It does make a difference. Like I've posted it before. Sarah Day's email to me. She fought me tooth and nail because she didn't want to get rid of her Octiva. I don't blame her. I liked my Octiva too, but I gave it up after Catherine, made me go through the motions of being a buyer through my listings, and her conversion rate went 48, 50% for mobile.
Right.
Yeah, it makes huge impact. You would be surprised how many sales you're losing because the buyer they don't want to go through all that. They just want to see the description, and I know templates are pretty, but really they're from 2005, 2004. It's time to hang them up.
eBay was running that test where they were making it so that you had to click on a link to bring up the description, and it brought it up in what they call I believe they call that a light box. It's kind of like a pop out.
Yes.
And it was nothing but plain, beautiful, clear descriptions. It was all left justified, and that's the way that it should be.
Yeah.
Can I just break in real quick, guys? Since I'm a heavy mobile user, I'm going to go in right now. This is just one thing that people might want to see. I'm going to go in right now, and I'm just going to revise a listing where I go in. I'm going to hit an item to revise. And on the mobile device, one thing that I've done, now mine don't look as pretty as Gladys's, and I'm telling you that. I love how she's got them dark, the bold on, different items. I've got so many listings that I don't do that. But I'm going into, excuse me, I have to look here.
Hold on a second, Cindy. Gladys, stop sharing your screen. I don't know that Cindy's popping up right now.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm going into the details, and so my details are all like this. One neat thing that you can do is if you want to go in, you can do a highlight all or select all, and what you can do is you can hit bold, and it makes them all bold.
Bring it more to the center so we could see the...
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So what you do is you highlight it all. Mm-hmm. You highlight it. It says select, and then you just hit bold or not bold, so you can see how it changed.
Yeah.
And that, if you want it to be more, that's an easy way to do it. Then I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in, and that just shows that I've fixed my listing. I'm going to continue. I'm a 100% mobile user, so I'm really big on item specifics. I do go in and edit. After I list about 50 items, I go in and do item specifics in a bulk edit.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Barb asked, how does the item condition description show that spot where you get the number of characters at the beginning after the title? I'm not sure I understand that question.
Item description, meaning that you can change it if it's for used, or
the item condition description. So in the condition box, let me see if I get this right. So in the condition box, that spot where you get the number of characters at the beginning after title.
Okay, so I'm going to go in. That's item description is you only get the box on mobile on the iPhone device if it's a used item. If it's a new item, you don't get item condition. But if it's a used item, you get it on iPhones and iPads now, on the iOS devices. So you can write whatever you want. Just be really careful about keyword spamming in that used condition box.
Exactly. The item condition is just solely for the condition of the item. Don't tell me where you got it from. It came from Europe. That's not what it's for. It's just to describe the condition of the item. I've seen a lot of people use that the wrong way.
Exactly.
Okay. Roger wanted to know what can be done to improve text size when listing with a mobile device, or is it just best to do the descriptions on laptops? Didn't you say, Gladys, that it's automatically 14 point when you do on a mobile? Or is it 12?
That was Cindy. I don't do mobile.
It's automatically 14 on the iOS devices right now.
Okay, and that's where you want to be. 14 is pretty much...
Yeah, that's the one that renders well across all the devices, tablets or cell phones.
One thing I will tell you, Roger, is if your concern is trying to type your description and stuff on a small device, either get two things. Use voice to text or get a keypad that you can attach to your device, and it'll change your life. Sorry, Gladys, but I just wanted to bring that up.
No,
that's okay.
That's fine. It's perfect.
And Nancy says, okay, so we can revise in mobile and increase the font size on each one. No, you can't increase the font size in mobile, right? You can only...
You can bold it, and sometimes you can, So what I did, can you guys see this? I'm going to get close. What I did is I'm going into the details, and I'm just going to highlight it all. No, it does not look like you can. It looks like you can only make it bolder.
Right, so you can only bold it. You can't actually change the
size.
The size, yes. And somebody talked about 14 font on desktop. Desktop actually, when you list on desktop, I believe the default is 10, so you need to change it.
Yeah, you need to change it to 14. Yeah,
it is.
When I do my descriptions, I like to highlight the item specifics in my description. As you can see here, you see how type, manufacturer. Those are the ones that I bold. I don't bold all of it because that way, when a buyer is scanning my listing, they can find the information right away. If everything's bold, it just makes it harder.
Right. You're not presenting that, Gladys. Go ahead and present that if you want to show it again.
Okay. Can you see it now?
I'm not... There it is. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you see how type and manufacturer, color, all those item specifics, which I repeat inside of my listing for a reason.
And what's that reason?
Google.
Oh, okay.
When Google calls it.
So that they'll pick it up, right?
Yep, they pick it up. Yep. So yeah, I highlight those so that way when the buyer is scanning through my description, they can find the information that they're looking for right away instead of bolding everything because it just makes it harder to read that way.
Roger says that he uses 18 point, and he said it looks super good on mobile devices.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just a personal preference. That's not gonna change too much either way. It may create a little more scrolling if you're using a bigger font. I use 14, and I'm very happy. And if you look at Gladys's screenshot, that's a 14 point font that you guys are looking at. Yeah. Let me see. There were some other questions. Let me find them because they're all scrolling down. And people that use mobile, do they use eBay app or full site? You know that's an interesting question, because in the past I would always click on classic site even on a mobile and do it all using the classic site. But now I view a lot of listings more in the mobile app rather than on the classic site.
Yeah, according to the articles from last year, you know, they use the app more, way more. It's
Right.
been downloaded 260 million times since 2008, and it's probably, you know, quadrupled by now.
Linda Martin wants to know if we don't have if the item doesn't have an MPN or UPC code, do you add one, make it up?
No, no. If eBay is prompting you for one and you don't have it, you put unknown.
Is
Don't give
unknown
blank.
a word? It's not NA or?
It in some categories, I've seen that eBay will prompt you for not applicable, but in other categories, it'll ask you for unknown.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's not, yeah, it's not uniformed. And
So
then,
what happens when you put something in an item specific that shouldn't be there?
well, that hurts you.
It hurts you in search.
It hurts you in search. It hurts you with Cassini, and it hurts you on Google and on Google Shopping.
Right. Absolutely, because
it's not relevant to that item. You only want
exactly.
to use item specifics that are relevant to your item and nothing else.
Right. So even when you add your own item specifics, it has to be something that's relevant. So
Right.
I remember posting a screenshot in Cost of a China seller that was selling a wig, and it was like maybe a red wig. Let's say the wig was for a redhead, and in the item specifics for color, they put see picture, and
Right.
that is totally incorrect, and
That's totally incorrect. Yeah.
and not liked by.
That's gonna cause for their item not to show up in search.
Correct.
And we're gonna talk about item specifics next.
Correct. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on.
Okay. Let me go. All right. So item specifics, attributes, and product identifiers. They all mean the same thing. It's basically an attribute, and what an attribute is keywords that are relevant or descriptive identifiers that help identify an item. Nothing more, nothing less. Why should you use them? Well, first reason is mobile. It enhances your item's visibility on Google Shopping with an eBay Cassini, and we already said, you know, on mobile, that's the first thing that the buyer sees before they even see your description. Let's see. What are Google required attributes? Secondary attributes, and are vintage collectibles exempt from requiring them. Now, for Google required attributes, you have brand, UPC, MPN, ISBN 10 and 13, color, size, and material. And that's just to name, you know, a few of them. Depending on the category that you're selling, there might be others. Like in books, there'll be, you know, the ISBN 10 and 13, and there'll be author, you know, and a few other ones. So you have to know what your category is and what attributes to use within your category. Secondary attributes are ounces, features, themes, style, measurements, anything that's going to help describe or relevant to the item. Using the correct attributes, you need to speak what my friend Mary used to say, Googleese, which is basically you need to speak the language that Google speaks. You can't just go making up your own attributes. Like I had somebody who put in the attribute shirt brand. That's incorrect. The correct attribute would be brand. And you know, you can find these on Google's website, you know, on Google Shopping's website. So using them correctly is going to help you. If you use them wrong, it's just going to sink your item, and you're not going to get the results that you want. Common mistakes: making up attributes, using them the wrong way, keyword spamming. I recently had somebody who was using the item specifics to put in shipping information. That is not relevant to the item. It doesn't describe the item. So the only thing that you want in your item specifics are relevant keywords to describe that item. If it's a coffee mug, then you describe the coffee mug. You don't put that you ship in 3 days. You don't put that it ships through priority mail. You don't put anything about shipping because that's considered boilerplate. And what happens with that, it gets kicked off of Google Shopping. Okay? That's a big no-no. Using anything about free shipping or anything gimmicky will get you booted from Google Shopping. So you don't want to do that. Are attributes searchable? Oh my goodness, I get this question all the time. Yes, for the last time. They are all searchable. They're searchable through eBay's search bar filter. They're searchable through eBay's internal search bar. Here's 2 screenshots. The first one on the left, you're going to see that somebody typed in, this is from my details reports, store reports. Somebody actually typed in the MPN in their search to look for that Millennium Falcon item. So buyers do use MPNs. On the right, you're going to see that the buyer typed in an entire UPC. Instead of typing in what it was, he typed in the UPC and he searched that way. And because I had that in my item specifics, I made the sale. This is where you're going to, I'm going to show you where they're searchable. Up on the left, you're going to see on the eBay's internal search bar here, it says tie. Item specifics are searchable through here. Sometimes it's a little finicky and it won't pop up every single time, but for the most part, they are searchable depending on the category. And the second screenshot, I zoomed in a little closer so that you guys could see the side filter, or what eBay calls the refined search filter. So you're going to see the attribute style, material, color, brand, and pattern. And if you scroll down even more, you're going to see a few other item specifics. So if you're selling ties and you're not using these item specifics, guess what? You're not going to show up. Because if a buyer goes through these filters and decides, okay, I want a Brioni tie and I want it to be silk, and I want it to be a necktie set, and I want it to be geometric, guess who's going to pop up? Your competition, because you didn't use all of these item specifics. Let's see. Any questions about that so far?
Let me come back live here. You know what? It's interesting. I kind of have a question. So when you're researching an item, and you type in a search on eBay, those items that are coming up on the side, you should probably take notice of those attributes and make sure that when you do your listing, you have all those attributes, because those are the attributes that eBay is going to show.
Yes, those are the ones that eBay prompts you for.
Correct.
You have your secondary, attributes, which you can add, to them, but you need to add the right ones, so that if somebody, let's say, like the attribute type, for instance, I use that one. And I use it because, let's say they wanted a tie, but they didn't know what brand of tie. So they'll just put, let's say black tie with a Christmas theme on it or something. So they'll type in Christmas black tie. Guess who's going to pop up? I am. Because I put in the attribute theme, which was Christmas.
Right.
And eBay doesn't prompt you for the theme.
Right. Let's see. I noticed that eBay has requested that I put item specifics into my title, i.e. cotton, polyester, knee length, etc. Did anyone notice this? Is this what we really should be putting in title? You know how they send you that little, they'll send you an email and they'll say you should add this to it?
That function isn't very smart yet. They're trying, so I'll give them that. There's only so much that you could put inside 80 characters in your title, right? And you're going to put in the most searched you know, keywords up there. I know that people have gotten those emails and like, well, it wants me to put unknown. Well, obviously you're not going to put unknown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wants me to add, the measurements. If you have room, you put it. If you don't, you don't. As long as it's in your item specifics and your description, you're fine.
Right. Okay, what is the difference between MPN and model?
MPN is usually on, the most I've seen it on is on toys. When you're looking at a toy and then you'll see like, 4 or 5 numbers on the side of the toy that's not the UPC, that's an MPN. A model number is usually on electronic items.
Right. So like an iPhone 4, that would be the model as an iPhone 4.
Right.
There may be UPCs for them, but the MPN number would be like on iPhones. They have it's called an A number. It starts with an A. It would be an A and about 5 or 6 other numbers, and that would be the manufactured part number.
Right. Right. It's what they use to separate. Like on electronics, they'll use it to separate. Well, this is the blue one, and this is the red one, and this is the pink one, and this is the white one.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. If you're selling handmade items, what is the best thing to put under brand in item specifics?
It will not prompt. It shouldn't prompt you for brand.
For like handmade items?
Items, yeah. Unless you're branding it with your own brand.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't prompt you for that. But if it is, then you can put, your brand because it's you who made it.
Right, right. So Christopher says you kind of skipped over vintage collectibles, MPN, UPC, etc.
Actually, I didn't. I was coming to that.
They're getting ahead of you, Gladys.
They are. Vintage collectibles are exempt. They've always been exempt from having to have item specifics or attributes, okay? But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't add them if you have it. If you have the brand, add it. If you have something that has the UPC still on it, add it. If it has the MPN, add it. The color, the size. There are other attributes that you can use, the secondary attributes that you can use. And you want to use them, especially in collectibles, because it will give you a better search result, better ranking. So you don't want to just say, oh, well, eBay say I don't have to have it and then not do it. Eventually, they're going to start requiring.
Right. For commodity with the new update, for commodities, they're already going to start immediately with, I think in May, with UPCs and MPNs.
Yeah, and brand. Yeah.
And brand and model.
Right, because those are all required from Google. So in order for that item to get to Google Shopping, it needs to have that information.
Correct. Let's see. Where is the Google Shopping page that shows the Google attributes she was talking about? You know what? We will post in both groups. We'll find the link to that, and we'll post it in both groups when we can get to it.
Okay.
That way we don't have to start searching for it now.
Yeah. And also for bundles, I've been getting that question this week a lot. What UPC do you use when you're creating a bundle? So let's say you have a bundle, it's a Samsung 3 Galaxy, and you're bundling it with headphones and the case and a cleaning cloth and a screen protector. The UPC that you're going to use is the UPC just for the Samsung 3.
Now, why is that?
Because that's the main item from the bundle. So that's the UPC that you want to use. So if you don't have it, look for it. You'll find it somewhere on the internet.
Okay. But what if you're bundling 3 items and all 3 items are like main items? And
so, like you're talking about a allotted item?
Yeah, okay. Like a allotted item.
If it's a allotted item, those are exempt from having to have UPCs and MPN. But you should put them inside your description.
Okay. Absolutely.
That way, if somebody's searching the internet, you'll come up.
Absolutely, yeah. I absolutely agree with that. Okay, you want to move on?
Yep. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking me about Google Shopping versus Google Organic. What is Google Organic? What is shopping? I'm about to show you. So here on the left, this is Google Organic. Everybody uses it. You type in something and you get all these little returns back. And then over on the right, you're going to see Bing organic search, and that's what their organic search looks like. Shopping, Google Shopping on the left, you're going to see where I circled shopping at the tab there. It's a separate tab. These are items that are being sent from eBay and other online retailers to Google Shopping for you. Okay, this comes with your store subscription. It's only for the fixed price items. If you look over to the right, you're going to see Bings. Now, Bing changed the way they used to do it. They used to do it in a separate tab like Google did. They're doing it now where it comes up with the organic search. If you look to the left, way to the right, you're going to see 5 cameras there. That's their Bing shopping format. It just returns it with the regular organic searches. Okay, what other roles? What role do attributes play with Google Shopping? Well, in order to be in Google Shopping, you need to be compliant. And in order to be compliant, you need to submit brand, UPC, MPN, and all those other ones that I told you guys about. The other question I get is flat free or calculated free. For Google Shopping, if you want your items to go up there, it needs to be calculated free. Okay, and the reason for that is if you use flat rate and then you hit the free shipping, it's going to send it out as $0.00. Google Shopping doesn't like to show $0.00. So if you do calculated free, it comes up as free shipping. Okay, so again, it's calculated and then free, and your items will get sent to Google Shopping. If you use flat rate free, eBay is going to withhold those from showing up on Google, and so that the rest of your items can go up live. Any questions on that? Because I know this was very confusing to everybody.
Yeah, I kind of want to expand on that a little bit, if it's okay, Gladys.
Yeah.
What happens is Google kind of has a policy where if you send the wrong stuff, to them, then they can squash all of your listings.
Yeah, they'll reject the whole entire file.
Right, they can eject your whole file. So what eBay's kind of doing to protect you is that if you don't have that set up correctly, they're going to eliminate that from their feed of your items to Google Shopping, so Google doesn't punish you for making one mistake.
Yeah, they can suppress certain items from going to Google Shopping, just so the rest of them do get through.
Exactly. So their algorithm, as of right now, will squash any listing that has flat rate and free being sent to Google. Now, guess what? Some of them do slip through.
Yep, some of them do slip through, but just like Google Organic has Panda and all those other animals that come in there and scrape the internet, and there goes some listings go poof, so does Google Shopping.
Yep.
Just because you're on there today or tomorrow doesn't mean you're going to be on there next week.
Right. Okay, I'm going to back up just a tiny bit because we had a really good question from Christopher about your item specifics, and I wanted to touch that. He says, if we have something made of milk glass, let's say, should we have 2 specifics, i.e. color and material, or can we just make it one material, white milk glass?
The material will be milk glass, and then the color would be white.
Right. You want those separated and not put into one item.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We just had another question about do items send to Google Shopping if you just offer calculated shipping? Yes, that shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, all fixed price get sent to Google Shopping.
Right.
Options do not.
What this particularly pertains to is only free shipping. If you don't have your free shipping set up correctly, your listing could get squashed.
Exactly.
let's see, what else we got here? What if you have flat but also offer upgrade paid? So they're saying flat free, upgrade paid. That's going to get squashed.
That's going to get squashed. Yeah.
Right, because for the free, once again, it's going to show $0 instead of free.
It's going to show them, because you have to enter a monetary amount in the flat free, and even if you don't, it automatically puts in $0, 0 cents.
Mm-hmm. So Ansi wants to know, are there any statistics showing that changing this is effective? I'm concerned with mobile search results showing my free shipping offers as calculated offers, and mobile buyers going right past that.
I'm going to show you right now. This is the blue background one, the second listing there. That's mine. I use calculated free. Okay, and as you can see, it says $29.99, and it says free. It does not say calculated.
Correct. And that's the way they should all be showing up, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Ansi wants to know if this can be changed in bulk edit. And yes, you have some issues changing in bulk edit that you might change listings that you don't want to change. What if you do flat rate ship with a cost? That's fine. Once again, we're only talking about free shipping.
Right. When you choose the flat rate free, that's the wrong way. You want to calculate it free.
I'm looking to see if we got any other questions. Joe DeMarco commented that he changed all his listings, and he noticed a huge difference. He started picking up a lot more sales on those items that he was changing.
Right, because now they're getting fed to Google. Shopping.
Okay, what else? What else do we need to move on to?
Okay, so Google attributes. So as you can see, from the slides before, all the attributes over on the left filter, all of those get sent to Google, except for pattern. Okay, pattern and pattern is going to be your secondary attribute, which Google organic crawls. Brand, color, material, and style all get sent to Google Shopping. These are all searchable through eBay, and Cassini crawls those. You want to use as many as you can, but use them correctly. Don't make up stuff that just to put keywords in there. You want to make sure you're using the correct attributes. And I know this is tricky for some people, so if you have a question as to which attribute to use, just tag me in one of the groups, and I'll be more than happy to look it up for you. Some of them you can find on Google, and some of them you really have to dig in order to understand. I've been dealing with the Google feeds since my days back in Bonanza, so I learned that way. Not everybody's going to be able to. It's kind of hard, but once you get into it, you just automatically know, So if you have a question about which ones to use for your specific category, just, give me a shout out. I'll be more than happy to tell you which ones.
Yeah, and everybody in both groups should already know how helpful Gladys is with this and how in tune she is. She has no problems answering questions, and none of these questions are stupid questions. So please, if you do have a question, post it, tag her, because guess what? If you have that question, somebody else has that question, and we can all learn from that.
Exactly. And then for search engine compliancy. Now, don't use all caps in the title. Use the required Google attributes. Use calculated free shipping. The description should be at least 220 to 250 characters long. Okay, and that's for the purposes of Google Organic, because they crawl your entire listing. So those 220 to 250 characters, you want to make sure that you have all the relevant information on there. Anything about free shipping and all that should be put after the 200 220 to 250 characters because, again, it's boilerplate and it can cost you, in rankings. Don't use bullet points. Google Shopping does not want bullet points. Don't use unnecessary punctuations or symbols in your title or your descriptions. Where does eBay send your XML file? The list is humongous. There's no way that I can possibly tell you every single place, okay? So I picked some of the ones that I know off the top of my head. They send it to Google Shopping, Google Products, Bing Products. They send it to organic searches, Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc. They send it to Get Price, My Shopping, Next Tag, Shopping Mania, Shopzilla, Price Grabber, Pronto, and a bunch of other ones. Now, do all items get sent to all of these places? No. Some of these places only want new items. They don't want to deal with the vintage stuff. Okay? Sometimes it'll get through, you'll find, a vintage something get through, Next Tag or Price Grabber. It happens. Will it be there forever? No, because they'll scrub it when they find it. But for the most part, eBay works hard for you. You guys don't know, but they send your feed to endless price comparison, sites for you, and it comes with your store subscription. But in order to do that, they need your help, and that's why eBay is starting to crack the whip on having, to add the UPCs and the MPN, because it makes it easier for them to advertise your items to these other, sites for you. So again, item specifics, huge. If you're not using them, start using them. You're gonna notice an increase in sales.
I agree 100%. Item specifics are so important, and people just don't seem to realize it, and it's unbelievably important.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't add the information, then you're not going to get found and searched.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's through eBay's internal search engine or the filtered search, on the left hand, or whether it's through Google. If you don't put the information that these, search engines need to rank you higher, to get you that enhanced visibility, then your item is just going to suffer and not sell. So, I got this question in one of the other groups. They asked me what, does that they heard that eBay sends the following attributes within your file, even if you don't use attributes, which is correct, but it's very limited. Okay, the attributes that you see in front of you right now are the ones that eBay automatically sends. You don't need to re-add these. eBay automatically sends it. They pull it from your title, and from the information that you input, like the price and the shipping and all that. But as you can see, it's very limited. Now, to enhance your visibility, that's where brand comes in, UPC, MPN, and all those other ones that I'm always, suggesting that everybody uses. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, earlier I missed a question earlier about your item descriptions and bold. Using bold in item description like you have on yours. That's obviously not a problem, right?
No, not a problem.
Because that's not an attribute or a feature that Google has a problem with.
No.
But they do in the titles.
Yes.
Now, somebody asked about in the title. Let me find that question. It was a good question. Don't use all caps anywhere in the title. Example, Escada, capitalized, and then green jacket.
No, it should be. If you're using all caps, you're doing it wrong. Nothing should be all caps.
Right. The only thing that you would have that would be all caps is, well, you would use title case. So the first letter of every item would be capitalized. And then if you had something that was supposed to be capitalized, that's fine, like XL, which would be for extra large. Or if you had like a Honda ATV, it would be okay to capitalize the ATV because that's the way Honda shows it.
Right, right. For things that are like DKNY, they spell it all in capital letters, so that's fine. But if you're, you know, putting up there Christmas all in capitals just to, I don't know, get the buyer's attention, you're doing it wrong. That's old eBay. It doesn't work anymore. It works against you.
Correct. So, and you mentioned earlier unnecessary punctuation. In my opinion, I never use any punctuation in my title at all. I don't use hyphens unless it's something that absolutely has to be there.
Right.
And that's it. I don't use any punctuation. I don't use periods.
That's correct. I've seen some sellers in both of our groups here in Cost and eBay stores who tend to write titles and put commas. You know, black jacket, comma, extra large, comma, you know, Green Bay, whatever, comma. That's unnecessary punctuation.
Sure, absolutely. You know, earlier on when we were talking about the free shipping deal, you know, I'm noticing a couple people commenting that they're concerned that, oh, their sales are in the toilet, and this is the reason why. Not necessarily. You have to understand that we're talking about the feed to Google shopping. Your feed to Google organic, I don't believe gets impacted by that at all.
No.
And the average shopper or the average person does a regular Google search, which comes up in organic. Google Shopping, which is used a lot less than Google Organic. So, yeah, you should make the effort to make that change if you can, and hopefully maybe get seen in shopping. It will make a difference, but I don't think it's the difference between being in the toilet and selling a bazillion items a week.
Everybody needs to understand that there's no one, you know, magic bullet where you fix this and then all of a sudden the sales are going to start flooding in. It's consistency. That's the key to getting sales. You need to be consistent with your titles. You need to be consistent with your item specifics. You need to be consistent with your descriptions. And especially in descriptions, to make it easier for buyers who are shopping your store. I've seen people when you go into their stores and in one listing they have, you know, this kind of font, and then you go into this listing and they got this other kind of font, and then you go into, it's like 10 different writing styles that they're using. And I found that when you're uniformed in the way you do all your descriptions, it makes it easier for the buyers to shop, you know? So
and it's easier for you to do your listing.
Yeah, and it's easier for you to do your listings. Like that one listing that I'll put it back up there so people can see. This listing right here, that is how I do all of my listings. Every single one of my listings looks just like this. Why? Because it's easier for people to scan through them, especially when they're buying more than one item. You know, they don't want to see this way, and then in the next listing there's a big old 2-3 paragraphs, and then they go to the next listing and there's a different kind of font, you know, italics or whatever, and then you go to the next listing and it's all centered. You need to be uniform. You need to have that consistency.
I agree. And don't change your font sizes. Don't italicize in there. You don't need any of that in your listing description.
Right, and you also need to be consistent with your DSRs. That matters. Cassini is looking at you as a whole, not just your descriptions, not just your titles. They're looking at your DSRs, how fast you ship. Are you shipping, you know, putting in your shipping information right away? You know, are you shipping within that one day or within the time you specified? You know, are you having problems with, you know, your not as described? You know, and the thing about item described is people keep using, you know, excellent and great. that's subjective. You know, I've talked about this before on eBay Radio. You want to stay away from that. You really do, because what you think is excellent, I could think is in good condition and not excellent. You're setting up your buyer for, you know, a big disappointment when they get it. You want them to form.
I'm guilty of still doing that.
Yeah, you need to you want that buyer to form their opinion based on your pictures and your objective condition description. You know, you see how I put mines here on this thing. It says used, has some paint loss. I'm unsure if it's the original paint or if it has been painted. And my pictures for that thing will show them every angle, everything, so that they can make their own opinion up about what condition it's in. You don't see me saying it's in excellent condition or good or great. I tell them exactly what's wrong with it and what's not wrong with it, and let them form their own opinions.
And then they can't open an NAD and say, well, you said it was excellent and it's not.
Exactly. And then what you see here in my description, the whole condition, that's what I put in the condition box, you know, within the listing.
Sure.
And the reason I do it word for word is so that if they try to open a case, you know, item not as described case on me, it's in both sections. They can't tell eBay, well, it's not there. Guess who eBay is going to side with? They're going to side with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a problem with item as described, except for one time. One time, damn buyer. But he taught me a valuable lesson, so I love him to death. You know, I was using excellent condition, great condition. When he got it, it was his opinion that it was in good condition. To me, it was in great condition. You know, and that taught me to stop using those subjective terms.
Don't be subjective. Yep. Yeah. Let's see. I try and provide more item specifics than is requested. Is this good to do?
If they're relevant to the item, yes. If you're using them correctly, yes.
Yeah, don't make up something just to add an item specific. The more you have in there, the better, but they need to be correct and relevant to the item.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. If brand is all caps, then use caps, but everything else I wouldn't. Okay, that was somebody answering. Is all Google relevance item-based, or does it even look at your eBay store in full?
Google Organic scans your entire store. Your categories, if you're using the old store, then what are those things called? The promotion boxes, they scan those. So if you're using the old store format, make sure that you're using links in those promotion boxes, because eBay will crawl those. You don't want to use pictures. You don't want to use, you know, text. You want to use the item links so that Google crawls those. Okay, Google crawls your titles, your descriptions, everything. Everything in your store, Google Organic is crawling.
Right. Let's see. I put a list of things that are the same as item specifics into my description without bullet point in front. Is that still considered bullet pointing? No. If you're not using a bullet point, then it's not bullet pointing. You can
no asterisks, no nothing. Just the way I have it here on this screenshot.
Exactly. You can put it in list form. You can put it however you want to put it. If there's no bullet points in there, and guess what? A lot of people with bullet points manage to get through. It's in Google's regulations. It says no bullet points, but bullet points are one of those things that do seem to get through a lot. If you have them, it's probably a good idea to slowly start removing them. But I don't know that it's going to be as huge an impact as people worry about. Once again, it doesn't affect Google Organic, just Google Shopping.
Right, just Google Shopping.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Again, most of what we sell doesn't have UPCs. We're almost all vintage. What then?
You put in the brand, you put in the color, you put in the manufacturer.
Put in what you have. Your vintage items.
What theme is it? What year is it? What are the features? What are the measurements? You know, what the use type, you know, to describe it's a cast iron toy, you know, material. There's a bunch of them.
Absolutely. And once again, even with this new rollout from eBay, they're not going to require UPCs and MPNs on vintage and collectible.
Right. Google doesn't require them either.
Uh-huh.
Those have always been exempt.
Is vintage an attribute and is age an attribute?
Yes, age is, vintage is not.
Oh, vintage. Okay, vintage is not. So you shouldn't put vintage in as an item specific,
No.
but you can put the age in.
Yes. Or
Okay.
the year.
Very
Age
good.
or year.
Oh, I just lost where I was. We were told that we need to put measurements in item specifics. I sell clothes.
Yes. Anybody who sells clothing should be using measurements in the item specifics. Again, it will help you for item not as described, or it didn't fit or whatever. I didn't know what the measurements was. It should be in your description and in your item specifics.
Can you help with how to add that attribute in? In other words, there's already a spot for size. So size for a woman's large obviously would be L for large.
Right.
Now, if you wanted to add the measurements, would you do chest 38? So forth and so forth.
Yes, you put chest. I'm not a clothing seller, so I don't know all the specific. Kathy, can you chime in here?
Oh yeah, we have a big clothing seller here.
Yeah.
Kathy?
Length and I'm right here.
Okay. Yeah, Gladys was asking about how size attributes in your item specifics.
I'm going to be honest, Gladys. I know you do it. I don't. I do item specifics. I do the measurements in the description, and I haven't had a problem. But I know a lot of people do put it in the item specifics. I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I chime in?
I'm just being honest.
Sure.
I also am like Kathy does. I don't do a ton of clothing, but I do some. But if it's bras or women's clothing, I do put it in the item specifics. I put like, the size and everything in the item specifics, but I don't put the exact measurements in item specifics. I just put it in the description. So I would like to get Gladys's take on that.
It should be in the item specifics, so that it's in both places, and it'll help you, fight item not as described or it didn't fit cases.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Christopher says, has anyone else found that when they list an MPN, it sometimes changes the category to something completely different? If it's changing your category, I've actually had this happen to me before. If it's changing your category and it's changing it to an incorrect category, then leave out the MPN. Don't use it, because the MPN that you have may actually not be the correct MPN for that item.
For what category is that happening?
I don't know, but it's happened to me before for, oh boy, I can't remember what it was I was selling, and every time I put the MPN number in, it changed my category, and God, I wish I could remember what it was, and maybe Christopher can expand on that a little bit, but it's happened to me before where I had to not include an MPN because it forced my category change. It forced a category change, and I don't know why.
I'd like to know what category that's happening in.
Let me see.
Christopher can chime in if he remembers.
Okay. Let's see.
Because that's something that would need to be reported to eBay, because it shouldn't do that.
I sell vintage collectibles in item specifics. If I have a multicolor item, am I hurting myself in the search by using the word multicolor?
No.
No, and it's actually, they don't actually use the term multicolor. They just, under color, you would just put multi, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. eBay prompts for multicolor.
Prompts for multi, right?
For certain categories, it'll prompt for multicolor. If you're putting it in yourself, then you can use multicolor, or you can, put red, blue, black, green, whatever.
Okay. If you're adding the inches, do you use the inch sign, or do you spell out inches?
I just abbreviate IN and then period.
Oh, you use IN. Okay. Okay. So you don't use the.
No, you know why? Because it sometimes it renders it does something with the coding, and it'll come out all funky. So I try not to use
And I'll say that I spell out inches in my listing descriptions, and let me tell you why I spell it out. I don't want Google to look at it and think that I'm using improper punctuation, because that is a quotation mark that you're using, and even though we use it to describe inches, it looks.
Yeah, it causes errors when it goes to Google Shopping that I've seen, little funky A's, and yeah, it just messes it up.
Yeah, the ampersand. Don't use an ampersand ever, because ampersands, unless it's absolutely necessary, like if you were using a description for something, and the ampersand is the proper description, don't use it, because it just looks. For some reason, it comes up weird it renders. It wants to render the letters AMP instead of an ampersand.
Right, exactly.
I use the quotation mark, don't have room to put the word. Well, that would be the title, I would guess, because you have plenty of room in your descriptions.
As long as it's in the item specifics, it doesn't have, you can't fit every single word, relevant word into your your title.
Right, right.
As long as it's in your item description and your item specifics, you're good.
What happened to search engine keywords in eBay? I used to update them when I added new items, but it has been unavailable for quite some time now.
Yeah, I don't know why they've blocked us out of that. I wish I knew. I wish I had an answer.
Does Gladys know why sometimes my listing loses the UPC and my additional specifics? Is this because I am selling similar versus relist?
I've never had that happen.
It's interesting. If for some reason if you do sell similar, or let's say I have a listing up. This happened with me the other day. I was doing reading glasses, and I didn't realize that there was an actual eBay category for each strength. So there was plus 250, plus 200, plus 175. And I had different strengths, and when I looked at them, when I went to relist them, I noticed that they were all in the plus 175 category. So I changed them to make them proper. And when I changed the category,
yes, it will wipe out your item specifics.
Exactly. Wipe out all my item specifics.
Yeah, when you change categories, it will wipe out the item specifics, so you have to re-enter them.
The only thing it didn't wipe out, of all things, was the UPC code, and I was surprised because I know that people have said that their UPC codes sometimes disappear. I don't know if it's a glitch. I don't know why that happens, but just keep an eye on it.
When it comes to the UPC code, you know how eBay prompts you for it? There's a section for it. I don't use that item specific up there. I enter it myself.
Why is that?
Because it disappears.
Okay.
You put it in there and it doesn't come up in the item specifics. So I just enter my own.
Double check, because I've always been using that.
Yeah, so I just enter my own UPC, item specific. I'll put in UPC and then I'll put in the value.
Okay. And while we're talking about UPCs, UPC numbers are really a pain to be punching in, and with their new requirements for commodity items that you have MPNs and UPCs, if you guys are inclined, buy a cheap barcode scanner. You can scan the UPC of your item and get that number in there real quickly. They work unbelievably.
Yeah, I have a scanner.
Yeah. Gladys has cast iron toy truck as the type. Should this type be just toy truck, and cast iron should be the material?
Yes, you are correct. I was hoping somebody in there would notice that.
Good job.
Who was that?
Let me see. Quirky Girl. And I don't know who Quirky Girl 10 is.
Good job, Quirky Girl.
Good job. Let's see. One time one time when they were talking about it switching by the NPM, it turned a puzzle into an electronic. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'd like to know what. Yeah.
Well, the MPN number obviously was the same MPN. You know, an MPN number is created by the manufacturer, so it's entirely possible that the two different manufacturers for two completely different types of items will use the same MPN number.
Right.
I would imagine that if eBay had that MPN number for that electronic in there, and you put MPN in that specific, that's probably why it switched it over.
Yeah, it's probably they probably have a catalog for that MPN.
Correct.
And that's probably why it's doing it.
Correct. So maybe instead of MPN, you can change that or not use it at all.
Or don't use the catalog.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let's see. I measure underarm to underarm and do that measurement.
In cases where they do have the catalog, I highly recommend that you use the catalog.
Right. And
that way for sure eBay knows what it is that you have.
Correct. But you should always double check to make sure that the catalog is correct, because there are catalog errors.
Yep. Sometimes they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish there was a way where we can submit changes to the catalog.
And maybe sometime in the future there will be.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be great.
Let's see. I only fill in item specifics that pop up in the mobile app. Are you adding custom item specifics?
Yes.
Or just filling them out the form as eBay has set up?
I add my own custom specifics because there are secondary attributes that you can use, like feature and theme and year and, you know.
But again, we can't stress enough that they need to be relevant and correct. Don't use something bizarre that
right, just to get, you know, keywords in there.
Let's see. In the title or item specific, should I use term inches or in, or the quotation mark, ounces spelled out, or OZ?
I use OZ.
Use OZ. And
I use IN.
So you do abbreviations.
Yeah, I do abbreviations.
You don't use punctuation to describe that, and you don't spell it out full. You use abbreviations. Yep. And abbreviations are great. So like in your title, whether you use vintage or VTG, they will both show up if somebody types vintage.
Right.
Okay. And Griff's has made this very clear that if you're going to use the term vintage in your title, you should have a year associated with it, either an exact date or a year. I don't know that that's going to hurt anything as far as search. He just believes that it's the proper way to do it.
Yeah, no, that's not going to hurt anything.
Right. It's not going to hurt anything.
And sometimes you know it's vintage, but you can't, you know, you don't know the definite year. Like in this, on my description here, you know, I did my research, and I know it's between 1920s and the 1940s. I don't have a definite date.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I cannot put a year on there. I can't put 1920s because that's false. It could be 1930s.
Right. Joe DeMarco, you know, he sells hubcaps, and they're all size-based, so he always has 14 inches, or I'm not sure how he puts it in his listings, but he wants to know is 14-inch INCH hubcap better than 14-IN hubcap. If you have room, you spell it out in full. If you don't have room, abbreviate it. Yep. I don't think it makes a difference either way.
It doesn't make a difference, no.
Yeah. I find there's not enough room to add IN or inches to item specifics.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm not sure why not. Your item specific can be as long as you want it, can it? Or is there
there's a limit for characters.
There is a limit per character, but you know, if you're doing 14 inches, there's plenty of room to spell out inches.
Yeah.
Christopher said he thinks it was a lamp that had an MPN like MX3, and it changed the category to a computer accessory category. So same thing. Obviously, there wasn't a.
Are you sure that was an MPN and not a model number?
Yeah, he says it was MPN.
Okay.
Does putting a dollar? Oh, here we go. Yes. Does putting a $ in a title hurt search? I.e., stating retail $1,000. Don't ever
Don't.
retail value.
Oh my God, never, 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 never use retail value in your titles. Never.
Absolutely. Don't ever use it. It's not good.
If you're going to put it in your description, make sure that that is under the 220 to 250 character mark.
Because you don't want it to get crawled.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So if you put it in your, how many characters in description gets searched?
220 to 250.
220 to 250. So if you're going to use in your description that the retail value is $1,000, make sure it goes at the end of the listing.
Way at the end.
So that it doesn't get crawled by Google. It's not relevant, and they don't like it.
Right.
And it definitely shouldn't be in your title. For one thing, it's punctuation. For another thing, it doesn't belong in your title. It's misleading.
Right.
For multi-variation listings, different colors of one item, what would you put down for color in item specifics? Various?
Various would work. I'd have to do a listing for multi-variation. I've never done one, but I do believe it's various.
Okay. Okay. What would make the UPC code disappear when you do a simple edit in a listing? We just kind of touched on that. If you do your own item specific and add UPC as an item specific rather than using the box that they already have for it, you're saying that it won't then disappear when you do a simple edit.
Right.
Okay. If you're putting a list in your description that is the same as the item specifics, is there an easy way to do it rather than having to type out each specific in the description?
If you're doing your custom ones?
No. If you use the same items in your description as you have in your item specifics, he wants to know if there's an easy way to copy it from item specifics, or if you need to type them all out separately in your description.
I use self-similar, so it's just there, and I just erase the values and put in the right values.
Right.
That's my template, my listing description template that I use for all my listings.
Okay, this is a good question. We talked about the ampersand. Also, what about ampersand in brand, i.e., Dolce & Gabbana? If it calls for it, use it.
Exactly. If that's the way the brand spells their name, then of course you use it that way.
But don't
come calling me later saying that it did a little funky thing.
Right, it happens.
Because it happens.
But don't
it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen.
Right, but don't get lazy and use ampersand because you don't want to type out and. That's when you don't.
I don't even type out and.
Well, but in your listing,
it's not searchable.
Description, you might for something.
For what?
You might type out and in your description.
Oh, in the description, yeah.
Yeah, like it's big and heavy, you might say. Right. Type out and, don't use the ampersand sound. The ampersand. No, I can't say it. Thank you. Let's see if there's any more here. Better in search to have multi-variation or one listing for each color.
Again, I'll have to do a listing with a multi-variation to be sure.
Yeah, well, he's asking, or maybe he's stating, maybe that's actually a statement. Is it? Oh no, is it better in search to have a multi-variation listing or one listing for each color?
I'll have to do it just to see. I know that on Google Shopping they have a special attribute that eBay sends with your feed for multi-variations, but I didn't delve into that deep enough to know the answer. Okay.
For size, such as 8.5, is it better to use 8.5 or 8:1/2?
8.5.
Yeah, I try and use 8.5 when I can. The only time that I won't.
Yeah, that's when we say don't use punctuation, it's unnecessary punctuation. 8.5, that's necessary. It's when you're doing a title and let's say they're, Ice Mountain bottle, comma, what is this? 1 pint, comma, I don't know, pure quality, comma, plastic bottle, comma. That's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
You want to use punctuation the way it was meant to be used. If you're using it the way it was meant to be used, then you're doing it right. Correct.
Victoria says it is better to have one for each color rather than a multi-variation. I would imagine that that it kind of becomes a personal preference, but maybe search it does render better if they're individual.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up and see if I can find the answer for that, because I don't sell, the clothing, so I don't know.
Okay. We've ran pretty late here. We're at 1 hour and 20 minutes. I think we should wrap it up. And
okay. Well, thank everybody for coming.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming. Please don't share the link to this outside the group. This is just for eBay stores, nothing but stores, and Cindy's online selling tips.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gladys, very, very much. David, as always, you are superb. Love you to death.
Thanks.
Gladys, man, we'd like to have you do more of these.
Anytime. Anytime.
Okay. You're a doll. Thank you.
Yeah, it really helps because people keep asking the same questions over and over, and sometimes typing it out, it's hard to fully get them to understand it when they can't see it or hear it.
Yeah, that's why I did the screenshots, so that I'm very visual, and I have to see something in order for it to click. It's harder to learn when you just have to read, because some of the Googleese, as Mary calls it, it's hard to comprehend sometimes. So that I think screenshots help, because you've got the visual, and then you've got the person telling you, and then you've got the questions, and you're answering them. You're reinforcing it with the screenshots. I think it helps anyway.
Yep.
I hope it helps.
Catherine, thank you for allowing us to steal Gladys, who is one of your superb admins, and allowing us to do this as a joint event with your group.
And thank you for being here, Catherine.
My pleasure, Gladys.
All right, everybody, thank you. This will be recorded. We'll chat later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.